Hi, I'm Charlie, and this is Stereo Hysteria. Our June Artist of the Month is Doug Gillard, who has lent his skill as a lead guitarist to such beloved indie rock bands as Guided by Voices, Cobra Verde, Death of Samantha, My Dad is Dead, and Nada Surf, as well as releasing a string of excellent solo albums that showcase his songwriting and multi-instrumental prowess. Last year, he rejoined Guided by Voices for the first time in a decade, and he's also recently collaborated with Ken Stringfellow to complete an unfinished song by the late great Scott Miller. Doug spoke with Stereo Hysteria about the many divergent paths that his career in music has taken, and we'll be hearing that conversation over the next 2 hours. But first, let's start off with a song written by Doug from August by Cake, Guided by Voice's first double LP, which came out this April, featuring Doug on all instruments, called Goodbye Note.
I'm leaving. Don't interpret it wrong. Don't worry. I'm not leaving for long. Got it done. Haven't got much, just so you know. I'm complacent and reluctant to go. Sticking in a carrier and take you to the shows. What you think is not work is work. The insiders know that I miss you. Come as you wish to. I'm leaving. Don't interpret it wrong. Don't worry. I'm not leaving for long. Put you in a carrier and take you to the shows. What you think is not work is work. The insiders know that I miss you. Come if you wish to.
I usually start off interviews by asking about your childhood upbringing and how musical it was, but in your case, you have audio verite footage of your musical development.
My sister moved to Germany back in 1971 or so. Her husband was in the service, and to communicate with her, my folks thought it would be a good idea to get a reel-to-reel tape recorder. And, instead of waiting for postcards or letters, you can just have an audio letter.
Mm-hmm.
And send little tapes back and forth. You could hear the person's voice. So they got a small reel-to-reel from JCPenney for that reason. After a while, I thought, maybe I could record some ideas here.
Is this in Cleveland?
West of Cleveland. There's an amusement park called Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio.
Okay.
It's east of there and west of Cleveland. Sort of the Firelands area, they call it.
Gotcha.
But it was fun. We lived in a secluded rural area surrounded by cornfields. We were the only house on our road for a while. Mm-hmm. And when the fields are bare, I would go out and just sort of hike in the fields with my dog. I'd just kind of walk around, and that's where I'd make up songs. Mm-hmm. There's really no one around, and
sure,
you kind of sing as loud as you wanted to, or say the stupidest things you wanted to. It didn't matter. So all the songs are about animals.
Dog was snooping around one day, found a mouse and wanted to play, and everyone gathered around. He barked and turned around. The dog was snooping around one day, he found a mouse and wanted to play. There's a way, there's a
And so there are musical instruments around your house, I suppose?
My dad played guitar as a hobby.
Okay.
He had a K guitar from the 50s and a Montgomery Ward amp. And it was only as a hobby. He never really played out. He would take that out every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just musical from as early as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I was banging on lots of things. I would get oatmeal canisters and coffee cans, and I'd watch the Archies and the Monkees and play along. Get pencils and pens out and spoons and stuff. Bang on stuff.
Yeah, it's funny how similar my upbringing was. I remember getting lunch boxes and banging on them with pencils, and I had some action figures that I would make be the band, and I called them the Chimps.
Wow.
It was very Monkees inspired.
That's pretty neat.
But I also had like a Fisher-Price cassette recorder, and I would make these, dumb little songs, banging on a dog food can or something.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that most people who grow up to be musicians have cassettes that they're not willing to let anyone else listen to of them making stuff up.
Right. Well, this was before I took any lessons, and I didn't really know how to play guitar the right way. So I would I would open tune the guitar to where it sounded okay and just move up and down the frets that way.
Yeah.
Kind of modal sounding.
Right. And it's sort of like hearing you discover music theory in real time.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, it kind of reminds me of Jandek, who similarly has that, like, extracting the most amount of harmonic content from very limited, like, not actually fretting any notes, which is sort of what Chinese dog sounds like.
Chinese dog snooping on one. Chinese dog, he's the one.
Is the tape sort of chronological?
Yes.
Because it certainly sounds like along the way you're picking up like song structures and different kinds of melodies.
Yeah, it was directly influenced by some of the records that I was listening to.
What was sort of the music that was playing in the house that was sort of getting you interested in music?
All my sisters and brothers' records, really. Beatles, first couple of Beatles albums, Paul Revere and the Raiders, Monkees, and lots of television and radio. We always had AM radio playing.
Gotcha.
My folks listened to sort of a country-politan station, I'd say.
All right.
And also we would listen to CKLW from Detroit on AM, which would be a top 40 pop station, which at the time was playing a lot of bubblegum and Motown. And Bang a Gong would come on every now and then by T-Rex.
Nice. Sort of a golden era for AM radio.
Hits of the day.
Yeah.
We had a kind of a country compilation, and there was Milk Cow Boogie on there, and I started playing those sort of country blues, slow, typical riffs in there you can hear. By the time I got an electric guitar, the last song is called Wolf on the Couch, and I was about 9. And I had started taking lessons, so I knew how to form chords the right way.
Yeah.
Still very primitive, but so that song is pretty much a direct lift of Taking Care of Business by BTO.
Yeah, I was about to say that it sounds like this fully formed bar band rock song that just emerges as soon as you get an electric guitar.
Yeah, that was on the radio then, so you can play it a lot.
Maybe there's a little bit of Werewolves of London in there? Or was that
that
later?
wasn't out yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't out yet. This is probably 74-ish.
I was coming from the kitchen back from eating Quaker oats, and I saw some. I thought it was a coyote. And I saw some come from the roof. And then I saw it was a wolf. I said, "Wolf on the couch." Hey, oh, on the
So when did you first start bands with other people? I would imagine around high school?
Yeah, my friends Fraser and Sean, Fraser Sims and Sean Saley. We were sort of the kids in school that the only ones who liked alternative and punk and everything. I mean, this is, suburban Ohio in 1981 and 2. And the trickle down didn't really hit Ohio in a lot of places until a while. I mean, if you were a high school kid. And Fraser had been to Scotland. He'd been overseas. And we were about 15. And he brought back all these records. I thought I was getting deep by going to Camelot Music and buying XTC albums and B-52s and Police. He came with The Fall and the Stooges and Velvet Underground things. Lots of seminal records, really, that were pretty important.
Yeah.
So we sort of bonded listening to all that stuff. And so we formed this band called Burning Theater. And at the time, we were a combination of all sorts of stuff. It was sort of gothy, post-punk, I guess you could say. Sean Staley went on to play drums in Corrosion of Conformity, and he was in, what's the band Bobby Liebling's in, the metal band?
Pentagram?
Pentagram. He was in Pentagram for a stint, and now he's in another touring metal band, which is great. He lives in the D.C. area.
Okay, gotcha.
And Fraser Sims went on to continue with the Starvation Army as the lead singer for Starvation Army.
Okay, and that was more of a hardcore thing?
Yeah. Well, long story short, we did that for a while, then we went to Cleveland and saw some shows. We were underage.
Mm-hmm.
I had joined a band called Suspect Device. Well, Sean and I joined a band called Suspect Device.
Okay, named after the Stiff Little Finger song?
Yes. Everyone was older. I was maybe 16. And so we played bars in Cleveland, and I was underage, but I still got in and played somehow. It's probably 82 and 83. Pretty much everything we did was from the UK and political. So we did a lot of covers.
Gotcha.
And we had some originals. But it was fun, and I cut my teeth on that band and got some playing experience. I had gone to Boston shortly before that, and I brought home this record called This Is Boston, Not L.A.,
Okay.
which is a hardcore compilation. But I think listening to that album was what made us all want to do really fast songs. And Fraser had just gotten, I think, damaged by Black Flag, and listening to a lot of that. And so we kind of changed our direction and called it Starvation Army. And so I was in both bands for a while. Shortly after that, I think 1984 is my senior year, I joined Death of Samantha. I met John Pekovic at that Cedar Point amusement park.
Okay.
We were wearing similar things. And went up and talked to him. He's like, oh, yeah, I've seen you play in the Suspect Device. It's like, oh, okay. I think he'd already formed Death of Samantha by then. They were three-piece. And so I was playing in them right before I moved to Cleveland proper.
Gotcha. Children's Crusade is something with, you're playing all the instruments?
Yeah, Children's Crusade was something Fraser and I did in late 83, early 84.
Okay.
I wasn't in Starvation Army anymore. Fraser was going to go to this, join the Army. We got back together, and he said, let's have a project and have it not be so punk. And I mean, for me, I'd say it was more influenced by things I was really into at the time, musically. It was Cocteau Twins, Echo and the Bunnymen, Killing Joke, Susie and the Banshees, early kind of stuff.
From Scorpio Moon, a 1985 7-inch released on Scat Records, here are Children's Crusade with a bit of a song called Blue Venus Aflame.
Feel sun dropping down between our thighs. Blue Venus aflame, blue Venus arise, rising from the ashes of an ancient bed. I can still remember all those things you said. Could you come back tomorrow, or just some other time? You could just leave me alone and be a real good friend of mine. Come back tomorrow, or just some other time. You could just leave me alone, be a real good friend of mine. Blue Venus aflame, I wish you were just like Blue Venus aflame. Why can't you be just like Blue Venus aflame? I want you to be just like Blue Venus aflame. I thought you were just like.
Have you ever had experience doing all the instruments yourself?
I used to do that at home. I had a cheap stereo that used to record 8-track cartridges and also the reel-to-reel, and so I learned about bouncing that way.
Okay.
One time, I think it was 6th grade, there was a talent show in reading class. Pretty low-key thing, but what I did was I played Calling Dr. Love by Kiss, but I recorded a backing track with guitar and drums and bouncing, and I just played that. I brought the reel-to-reel to class or something.
Okay.
Played live guitar to it. I didn't sing. I played the melody with the guitar. I didn't win, but, you know, I'd done sort of things on and off like that.
Okay.
But we did this in an actual studio, a small studio in Lorain, Ohio. It was a little garage, like 8 tracks. Fraser and I were 18
Okay.
when we did that, so that's probably my first experience really doing anything like that. Suspect Device had recorded some tracks that really never came out just before that, so.
When you moved to Cleveland, does Death of Samantha just sort of hit the ground running and start gigging?
Well, things were starting to be booked, and we started recording. There wasn't a lot of shows, but there were a few shows.
Okay.
Later in 84, we started to become kind of the go-to opener in Cleveland for bands coming through town.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not so much at that point, but maybe a couple years after that, we were kind of the go-to, I'd say. But we had some great shows that I remember that year. In Kent, Ohio, we opened 4 replacements on their Let It Be tour
Okay.
at JB's down in Kent. There was some night where True West came through. We opened up for them. And in Cleveland, the Gun Club were on their Las Vegas Story tour. We opened one of those shows. So opportunities like that kept happening, and we recorded a single, and then after that, John got Byron Coley to write the liner notes for the first single, and Gerard Cosley at Homestead had gotten wind of the band and asked us if we'd want to sign to Homestead, and so we did.
Here's a song co-written by Doug from Death of Samantha's third and final full-length album on Homestead Records, 1989's Come All Ye Faithless, called New Soldier, New Sailor.
Modern dancer, make it in on your own. You got an answer for everything that you own. Vanity, impossibilities, and well-read women love to look into urban communities where all of the poets are full of books. These are the closet while we're standing eye to eye. Why should I talk or look up to you? 'Cause I'm a new soldier, a new sailor, and you're nothing. Modern dancer, tell me what do you know? You got an answer for everything that you own. Now all the vagabonds are dying for you, and it's up to clean me out, and all the charlatans are laughing for you. Vaccinations shoot you up. These are the laws and while we're standing eye to eye. How can I talk or look up to you when I'm a backslider, a backbiter? I've been nothing. Modern dancer, dying all on your own. You got an answer, there ain't nothing to know. Now we're so glad to be alive, and glad to see you in the car that we drive. And when I'm black, or when I'm white, I turn pale and invisible under a street light. You know, and I say that we're both big nothing. How can we talk to each other when there's no new soldier, no new sailor? Now who's nothing?
Everything I've read about Death of Samantha sort of implies that they have this really glammy theatrical image. How did it develop?
It's a hodgepodge. We never had a set image or agreed upon theme, or this is what our vision is. If there was any vision, I guess it was theatrical.
Yeah.
But it wasn't discussed, it was just what we started doing. John was a very animated front man, and he liked to wear smoking jackets and play clarinet on stage, and I don't know, he was a great orator. He's really good with words. Steve-O, our drummer, he would just kind of wear a lot of crazy costumes and bring props, like huge blow-up Genesee beer cans, various things, witch hats, I don't know, just no real set costume for him, but it was always something different.
Okay.
We'd bring him out in a coffin, and he'd come out of the coffin.
So sort of like the Bob Stinson role?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And when we started, I wasn't so much glam, but I was starting to listen to a lot of the, catch up on what I'd missed when I was a kid, the T-Rex, Roxy Music and Mick Ronson and David Bowie stuff, and really get into that. And so after about a year or so, I found places where you could buy platforms in 1970s, feather boas and glittery jackets and things. And so then that started to be my thing, and the guitar playing got a little more rock, I guess, a little more glam, cock rock, whatever. So that element entered into Death of Samantha, but that wasn't a group-wide vision. It was just everyone was pretty much an individual.
Gotcha. And it seems like the style of the music also developed in a similar way, where it's got a lot of influences coming from different directions.
That's true, yeah. Well, when we started, Death of Samantha was very much influenced by Paisley Underground.
Okay.
I know John and I and Dave James were really into things like Dream Syndicate and Gun Club and things coming out of L.A. at that time, Rain Parade, things like that.
Yeah.
With a little more psychedelic edge and kind of dark. I remember us having a distinct sort of echo in the Bunnyman consciousness as well. And so, yeah, there were a lot of influences in there.
From If Memory Serves Us Well, a record documenting a December 2011 rehearsal for a Death of Samantha reunion show. Here's a song originally from their 1986 debut album, Strung Out on Jargon, that showcases their Paisley Underground influence, called Conviction.
Looking down outside the ceiling, someone shouting us, believe it. With one hand tied to the glass, wonder how all this could ever pass. And we're going through the blues just to get through to conviction. Looking down, but is this believing? Thinking down and looking at the ceiling. Someone shouting, I can't keep kneeling. Never try, is that what you call praying? And we're going through the blues just to get through to conviction. Pick me up, take me to the ceiling. And I'm dirty my nails, now don't mean nothing. And step into the street and wash the sins we've been paying for. And then look me up and look me with these black lines around my eyes. And we're going through the blues just to get through to conviction.
Did you find that the band just kept getting more popular? Like, as you kept putting out albums, was there more notice as time went on?
Yeah, there was. We all kept working. Well, we were all in school, we were in college,
Okay.
and also had regular jobs. And so if we had a road trip, it would be on weekends, or sometimes we would find some time off to do a tour, but we didn't really tour heavily. Maybe that's why we didn't go further than we did. I'm not sure. But we made 2 or 3 albums and, had a good time. We'd come to New York and play Maxwell's. I remember one time Ira Kaplan was our sound person at Maxwell's.
Wow.
In 87 or so. Some bands opened for us that were on their way up, and we were kind of staying where we were or on the way down. We went to Madison one time, and Smashing Pumpkins opened. Gosh, this had to be 89 or so.
Okay.
Nirvana, too. We played at Green Street Station in Jamaica Plain, and it was, I think it was Cheater Slicks, Nirvana, and Death of Samantha headline. Yeah, I think it was Bleach was just out.
Okay.
They were touring on that.
Because when did Death of Samantha break up? Was it 89, 90?
It was around 90,
Okay.
maybe 91.
Was it contentious, or was it just sort of like you felt it ran its course?
It just sort of fizzled out.
Okay.
It wasn't contentious. In 1990, I toured with the band My Dad Is Dead, Mark Edwards' project. In the studio, My Dad Is Dead was pretty much just Mark.
Okay.
He would have people play on his albums, though, after a while. His first 2 or 3 things are just him. And then he had members from Prison Shake and other bands helping him out in the studio after a while. But the guy who owned Beat Farm Studios, Chris Burgess, played bass. He played bass in Prison Shake and in My Dad Is Dead. And later, a few years after that, he played bass in my band Gem. But I think the first thing Mark asked me to do was a European tour.
Okay.
I'd never been over there before, so we went and toured Germany, Switzerland. We did a Peel session.
Very cool.
So that was great. That was a lot of fun.
From a My Dad Is Dead rarities collection called Missing Pieces, here's a bit of the 1990 Peel session take on Nothing Special.
She killed that boy, threw his body in the garbage down the hall. She lived with it out like it was nothing really special at all. She rid herself of the cause of her pain. She rid herself of the cause of her pain. Evil shines in her eyes like fire and roars through her mind. Evil shines in her eyes, a dark flower cries in its night.
And then, a little later that year, Charles from the Pixies was a big fan of Mark's, and he asked him to open up 9 dates on the Pixies Bossa Nova tour. So we did that. I was part of the band that did that. It's pretty much 9 dates in the States, mostly theaters. There's a place in Omaha called Peony Park, which is an amusement park that isn't there anymore. And there's a big sort of ballroom. I remember someone called it Gillies, like it was one of the Gillies places, Mickey Gillies' place, but I think it went through various names. It was just a big round ballroom. We played there with them, ended it in Denver, came back. And then Death of Samantha technically was still going.
Okay.
And then maybe a couple years after that, John, Dave Swanson, and I, Dave Swanson was in Death of Samantha as the bass player, decided to form Cobra Verde. It was just a project we were doing.
Okay.
And Dave moved to drums, because Dave was always a drummer as well, drummer and guitar player. And so we started working on songs. We went into record at Don DePue's 609 studio, and by default, Don just became the bass player. I played bass on a lot of the first release by Cobra Verde,
Okay.
Viva La Muerte, but
Were you playing live much at all, or was it just sort of a studio only?
we started to play live, yeah, we started to play live.
Here's another song, co-written by John Petkovic and Doug, from the first album by Cobra Verde, 1994's Viva La Muerte, called Gimme Your Heart.
You're the wood, touch my skin. You're the good wood, should I not have been? What? Damn, you're mine. Give me your heart, give me your heart, give me your heart, heart, give me your heart. You know some things just seem understood. You know some things are real, but this is where the sidewalk ends. Touch my babe, nail the board. She's a million electric cord. What? Damn, yeah, man. Give me your heart, give me your heart, give me your heart, 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 give me your heart. You know some things just seem understood. You know some things are real, but this is where the sidewalk ends.
So throughout the Cobra Verde period, you're also simultaneously in Gem?
For a lot of it, yeah.
Was one of them sort of the main project and one of them the side project, or were they pretty much neck and neck?
Well, I started making Gem my main project, I think.
Okay.
And it was neck and neck for a while, I guess. I mean, I enjoyed playing both. I really enjoyed playing Cobra Verde, too. I was just a little bit different animal musically, but, I mean, any project I played in with John, I always had a lot of freedom,
Yeah.
guitar-wise. So, it was a lot of fun. See, Gem formed probably in about 92.
Okay. And was that basically just sort of a vehicle for your own songwriting?
It started that way, yeah. Part of the formation of the band was Chris Burgess's idea. He said, why don't we have a band with Scott Pickering and me and Tim Tobias and you, and we can play your songs and whatever else. I said, yeah, so that'd be great. So when we started, I wrote the bulk of the songs, I guess. Tim Tobias came in with a few. He'd been in Cleveland and Kent area bands that whole time, too, from the mid-'80s on. So he had been writing songs for a while.
Gotcha.
I had done a couple songs for a compilation called Hotel Cleveland Volume 3. One was called Unawares, the other one was called JHS,
Okay.
which is a thinly veiled homage to James Honeyman Scott.
Okay.
It's a basically a Pretenders rip off that song, but it was fun. So anyway, I played everything at Beatfront Studios, and I recorded those in 1990, really, and didn't do anything with them. And Robert Griffin was putting this compilation together. He'd already had Volume 1 and 2 out of other Cleveland bands, so he asked me to be on this one, and I gave him those songs. And I think Gem kind of formed from us wanting to play those songs live from the compilation.
From the aforementioned Hotel Cleveland Volume 3, here's Doug Gillard with Unawares.
It's the kiss of shame and the self-taught man. Give me a vaccine, Novocaine. The Zeus has got us in now. He's got us unawares. It's a silver crutch, give birth to me. It's a magic touch, gift of the magi, The Zeus has got us in now. It's got us unawares. My favorite pillow, please sleep me. We love, we for me. Oh yeah, yeah, why don't you let me in? My mind is in a spin, it goes around again.
Well, I remember one time we went over to Robert Griffin's apartment to help stuff CDs for this Hotel Cleveland compilation.
So true DIY effort.
Yeah. A little stuffing party there. And he was putting on records and taking them off and putting on another record. He had this one thing playing. I said, "What's this? This is pretty good." He said, "Oh, it's this band from Dayton. I think I might sign them to Scat." I said, "Wow, pretty good stuff. What are they called?" He said, "They're called Guided by Voices." I don't know which record he was playing. I want to say it's something...
Like Propeller?
It might have been Propeller, but it might have been Sandbox or one of the earlier records. So I just made a mental note that, oh, well, this is cool. Great. And then a cassette started to be passed around by band members in Cleveland. Bands passing it to each other, bands that would open up for other bands. Like, hey, yeah, this is this Guided by Voices band from Dayton. Check this out. And the cassette had Vampire on Titus and Propeller on the same cassette. And everyone's going, wow, this is great. This is the new thing. So everyone's turned on. And then I was playing my friend Gary Lupico. He was in a band called the Kneecappers, an early Cleveland punk band. The Kneecappers later changed their name to Dead Kennedys.
Okay.
That was Gary's name. They didn't do anything, or they broke up, or he wrote about it. Someone wrote about him in a fanzine. That's how Jello got the name. It's like, wow, it's a great name. I want to use that. Gary also had a band called Dr. Blood Money, which were sort of more of a post-punk Cleveland band. And Gary decided to form sort of a country band. He'd had a band called California Speedwag already. And they did a lot of Billy Joe Shaver, Waylon sort of things.
The outlaw country sound?
Yeah, the odd Van Morrison cover. Just fun country type stuff. And Gary wrote really funny acerbic lyrics as well. He had kind of a booming voice like Waylon Jennings did. And so I joined him on this little project, and we played someone had a party at University Inn, this restaurant in Cleveland, and Robert Griffin knew about it, and so he brought the whole band of Guided by Voices in to watch us, because they were up to Cleveland to sign. I think, to do B1000 or something, to sign Scant Records.
Okay.
We ended up at a party at Scott Pickering's house, and Robert Pollard and I were standing talking in the kitchen, and he was telling me about all the Death of Samantha stuff he owned.
Oh, okay.
He was a fan, and he sang one of my guitar riffs back to me. It's like, wow, he really is. That's great. And so when it came time for them to play up in Cleveland, Cobra Verde was put on the bill to open for them.
Okay.
And then we were friends ever since, and Jem, since then, opened for them as well. So I'd say I met him probably 93.
Okay.
The shows started happening probably early 94, something like that.
Here's a song from Jem's 1995 debut album, Hexed, called Suburban Girl.
Still living at home. You've got a car of your own and it drives you. I rather like your lawn. Suburbs made me young until now. Suburban girl, you're rocking my world. Believe me now. Don't cry, my child. You're driving me wild with your drama dance. You're driving me wild with your drama dance. You're driving me wild with your drama dance. Your dad, Mr. Jones, he's got a cellular phone in his Acura. He gives his buddy a call as he weaves in and out of traffic and cuts a few people off. Suburban girl, you're rocking my world, believe me now. Don't cry, my child. You're driving me wild with your drama dance. 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 Yes, man, Mr. Jones, at work but not at home. He wipes the brown off his nose so he can spend some quality time as a professional white man. Suburban girl, you're rocking my world, believe me now. Don't cry, my child. You're driving me wild with your drama dance. Suburban girl, you're rocking my world, believe me now. Don't cry, my child. You're driving me wild with your drama dance. 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 You're driving me wild.
Jem was, in 1995, we were signed to Restless Records.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had an album called Hex that came out in 95 on Restless. The next record was recorded for Restless, and they ended up dropping us from the label. So the stuff that we had recorded in Kent didn't come out, even though Jem kept playing shows. And so we used those tracks and put them together with some other ones that we had done and put that out on Pitch a Tent in 2001 as Sunglair Serenades.
It seems that that band has sort of been obscure for a while, like the albums seem out of print, even though, as I found out, you can buy them for very cheap on Amazon.com.
Oh, right, that's true, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, both records have a bunch of really good songs on them. It seems a shame that they're sort of languishing in obscurity.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I'd like to re-release them at some point. I'd love to remaster them, but I wish that the Hexed stuff was a little more worked on in the studio at the time. A little more finished sounding, but it is what it is, and it's sparse, but I still think it's pretty good. That was one of Don DePue's first sessions when he opened up 609 Recording.
Okay.
The Gem stuff, and the early Cobra Verde stuff as well, Viva La Muerte. That's why when Bob came up in late 96 to record Mag Earwhig there with us, that was done at the same studio.
Okay.
Don DePue's 609 Recording.
When was it asked if Cobra Verde wanted to be Guided by Voices?
That didn't happen until sort of around fall 96. They had been through Lollapalooza tour. They'd done Alien Lanes and Under the Bushes by that time. And I think Bob had enough of I don't know, he wanted to dissolve the initial lineup and either start over or not have Guided by Voices or something. I can't remember exactly what the feeling was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And John called me and said, I was talking to Robert Pollard and we were floating the idea around of just us being the band, backing them up. I said, yeah, that sounds great. And so Bob sent us demos, the stuff that would become Mag Earwhig. Listened to them. I did a bunch of 4-track treatments for Bob, before we recorded Mag Earwhig, so he could check out what the solos were going to be or hear my ideas.
And how much of that is stuff that you added versus stuff that was already on the demos? Was it like full riffs or just mostly ornamentation?
Full riffs.
Okay.
The demos are Bob on an acoustic guitar and singing live just into a boombox.
Okay.
So I take that one track, put it on track one, and then add everything else. Sometimes I'd add drum ideas, I did that for Do the Collapse as well. And so there's one of Bulldog Skin where it's just an electric guitar. There's nothing else there but, Bob's demo and my electric guitar. But
This first song's called Bulldog Skin.
it has the solo on it and everything. So Bob was very enthused when he got some of those things. So that's how we started working that way.
Played the part, played the star, made a table out of clay, placed my hand on the plan, waited for a cheap display, played around and heard the sound of certain trouble on the way. I've got bulldog skin. I got bulldog skin. Kick-ass part with a lead. I've got bulldog skin. I've got bulldog skin.
So you sort of acting as a de facto arranger.
That happened on Do the Collapse a little more. I'd make up some drum parts and this and that. But song structure-wise, that was all Bob. I would not ever mess or suggest anything different arrangement-wise or, in the structure. Because Bob's songs came fully formed that way. Yeah, I mean, this was more guitar on top
Yeah.
or other musical ideas on top of his structure, which is not writing. I guess it's writing if all parties involved agree that it is, but technically, it's really not.
Yeah. Although it does strike me that a lot of your guitar solos are more written out than just sort of improvisations in a mode.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very long ago that I was a teenager sort of rewinding Everywhere with Helicopter, just trying to make out the solo bar by bar.
Oh,
I almost got there. Some tricky bends at the end, but it sort of seems like if I could compare it to any other guitarist, it would be like Dave Gregory from XTC.
he's one of my all-time favorites. Yeah, Dave Gregory, James Honeyman Scott, Elliot Easton. Those guys were really, really influential in, if I was influenced by a way a solo was written, those would definitely be the guys. At the time, they really stood out to me. And John McGick as well. John McGick is a genius from early Susie and Magazine.
It seems they all kind of bridge the gap between the AM radio sort of 60s and 70s pop music and the hardcore music.
Yeah. Also, I think at the time I remember, there's things like Billy Bremner.
Oh, yeah, from Rockpile.
His solos were just incredible.
Yeah.
But melodic, you know what I mean? And they go somewhere. Yeah. A lot of them it just takes me 2 or 3 times to come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my head I kind of know what I want to do instinctively.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't take long just to come up with something. Sometimes it is an improvised solo in trial or in demo that I like, and then I just duplicate it in the studio.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When I first joined, I worked in a warehouse, frame shop warehouse, and I was the only person back there. I would get the orders ready for the stores and drive and deliver them to the stores. And so I had a boombox back there. Knowing that I was joining GBV, I just had cassettes and cassettes of the songs from the set list. There's probably about 60 songs, and I would just play them over and over as I worked. For me, if I listen repeatedly, the structure and the chords progression gets in my head and kind of travels through my fingers later. I mean, it helps anyway.
The song I Am a Tree was originally a Gem demo that you just sort of handed to Bob.
Yeah. At the time, I wasn't in the band or even thinking about being in the band.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably a couple years before I joined. And Gem had opened up for Guided by Voices at Euclid Tavern. I handed him a Gem. It was before our album was out, so it was a preliminary cassette of actually recorded songs. This wasn't a demo.
Okay.
We had finished the song, and it was mixed and everything. I decided to not put it on Hexed because someone told me that they thought the lyrics are kind of dumb, and I agreed, and it gave me a complex.
Ah.
I don't know why I was so bothered by that. I couldn't rise above that at the time. I don't know why. I thought, yeah, they're right. Forgetting that the music of the song was pretty good.
Yeah.
Didn't take that in consideration. So, yeah, that is kind of embarrassing, that song. Because they are nonsensical lyrics. There's nothing wrong with that, but...
Yeah, they're equally as valid as Animal lyrics, I would say.
Right. I mean, they're just about being a tree, and it's slightly phallic. It's, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's just... At the time, I would write, as a lot of people in the 90s would do, wrote lyrics just to carry the melody of the song.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that going on, and for that reason, I'm not a fan of a lot of 90s stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You could get away with so little. And so, yeah, I'm a Tree had the lyrics it did, and the theme that it did is just a fun, nonsensical song.
Yeah.
I am a tree, I show my age when I don't cry. I have the leaves that will fall off when wind blows by. Don't strip off my bark, I have been stripped of it before. 'Cause yesterday's gone, and tomorrow has so much in store. Say the last word, so there is nothing more to say.
And I think that when Bob sings it, it does sort of tie it in with all the previous Guided by Voices songs, which also may have had nonsensical lyrics, but with the powerful music behind them, they sound really good.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a song written by Robert Pollard that has fantastical lyrics, it doesn't enter into the category I was just speaking of.
Yeah.
It's a completely different thing. No, I take whatever he has as meaning, is thought out. He's really, really great with words.
Yeah.
And has a really quick brain. And so what he comes up with is very deliberate. And it sounds great in his phrasing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Cobra Verde lineup of Guided by Voices went on a tour, and there were conflicts within that, and it was eventually decided that they would no longer be the backing band.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened in 97 on the tour for Earwhig.
Okay. At that point, did Bob ask you if you alone would join?
Yeah, shortly after the whole breakup, after that lineup dissolved, Bob called me up and said, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. I was wondering if you'd want to stay on. I've decided to continue Guided by Voices, and I wondered if you'd still want to be part of it." And so I said, okay, yeah. So he sent up demos for what would become Do the Collapse. And in 98, we played as a four-piece for the whole year pretty much and recorded Do the Collapse as a four-piece.
Okay.
I was the only guitar player. I mean, Bob might have played some guitar in the studio, but live I was the only guitar player. It was Greg Demos, Jim McPherson, Robert Pollard, and myself.
Okay. And was there like this major label deal in the horizon at this time?
We wanted to record for Matador, who at the time had a distribution deal with Capitol Records, which was a fairly new thing to them. They paid for the recording of Do the Collapse.
Okay.
They funded that. We did it at Electric Lady in New York.
With Rick Ocasek, right?
Also, to save money, we recorded part of it at Rick's house because he had a tape machine.
Okay.
Bob and I did a lot of overdubs after Jim and Craig went home.
Mm-hmm.
We went home and came back for mixing. This is in the fall of 98, I believe. Somewhere in that time, Matador's deal with Capitol ended abruptly.
Okay.
Our management said, Matador said they'll still put it out on Matador proper, but we think we should shoot for something bigger, at least see what else is out there, see if anyone's interested.
Mm-hmm.
They shopped it around, and TVT was very interested. So TVT picked up the record and released Do the Collapse.
Here's a highlight from 1999's Do the Collapse, called Surgical Focus.
With surgical focus, she stared at me and said, "I'm willing to reach out, get into your head, and I will keep you and cleanse you." She glared at me and wept, "Change is not going to hurt you, not this time. I've been waiting in line for this.
how was the band relationship with the label at that time?
Are you talking about TVT?
Yeah.
I thought it was very good. Adam Shore was the A&R person that was in touch with us mostly. We got to know the people that worked there. They weren't technically a major. They were just a very big indie.
Okay.
And they'd had a lot of money from the Nine Inch Nails Association. And they started off with the TV tunes. And so by the time they signed us, they had a large roster of bands. In actuality, we might have been one of the last bands signed to TVT before they folded.
Okay.
But, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. We had trouble with them wanting us to release a version of the song Hold on Hope.
Okay.
That was mixed by a big producer that he did a radio mix.
Okay.
And he kind of made us sort of sound like Radiohead. The song already didn't sound like the band.
Yeah. It's a little more straightforward.
It started off as a heavy song. We played it live in 1998 before we recorded with Rick. It was very heavy, sort of Black Sabbath-y sound to the song Hold on Hope.
Okay.
Very pounding. Since Rick heard Bob's demos, which were acoustic, we went for one day of pre-production with Rick. And he said, wait, this song, I really like the way Bob's demo sounds. Let's make this a ballad. I said, all right, we'll see. Let's try. And so we made it a ballad. Had a piano player come in and play piano.
Every street is dark and folding out mysteriously. Well, that's the chance we take to be always working, reaching out for a hand that we can't see. Everybody's got to hold on, hope. It's the last thing that's holding me.
Yeah, Bob didn't really like how creamy it was. He calls it creamy. It turned out, it was just, didn't reflect the attitude of the band, but we wanted to see where it would go. The album comes out. The label wants it to be remixed for radio. So this larger producer, he kind of put a drum loop on it. And it really didn't sound like Guided by Voices. If you thought the song originally didn't sound like GBV, this was even further removed.
Look at the talk box in mute frustration. At the station, there hides the cowboy. Nothing grows on. Time still goes on through each life of misery. Everybody's got to hold on, hope. It's the last thing that's holding me.
And so Bob said, no, I'm not, this isn't going out. Thanks for trying, but the label said, what? No, we're putting this out. We love it. He said, no, you can drop us over it. We don't care, but I will not have this go out and play it on the radio. They sent Adam over to England to argue with Bob during our British tour to try to convince him. It didn't work. So what ended up happening is the label said, okay, Rick, you just do the remix. And so he did, and it sounded pretty much just like the record. So
yeah,
in the end, it was okay. And
it's funny to hear about the adjective creamy, because one of my favorite Guided by Voices recordings is the creamy version of Choking Tara.
Oh, right.
And
yeah,
now that you mention it, it does sound very posh and grand.
Yeah, I think creamy means not only treated as a ballad or pop song, but also very produced and with lots of backing vocals and things like that,
Yeah.
Lots of instruments. Slick.
From the 2003 box set Hardcore UFOs, here's the so-called creamy version of Choking Tara.
Say
yeah, going from the super creamy to a very homemade record. After Do the Collapse, you and Bob collaborated on the Speak Kindly of Your Volunteer Fire Department record.
Bob sent up a batch of songs and said, I just want you to just do these up on your 4-track. Just do the music for them.
Sort of as a demo for a new Guided by Voices album, or as a specific project?
No, as a separate project.
Okay.
And so I said, sure, it'd be great. I sent him also, right after that, I said, would you consider putting these on? They were just beds of music for 4 of the songs. So I wrote the music for 4 of those, and he sang on them. And that was Pop Zeus, Larger Massachusetts, Port Authority, and Messiahs. And the rest were written by Bob Holy.
Okay.
Solely Holy, whatever word it is.
From 1999, Speak Kindly of Your Volunteer Fire Department. Here's a song driven by a wonderful Gillard guitar riff called Pop Zeus.
His shit's our magic may shine for the good of customs and calling. Call him Max, send him a fax, charge him no tax. Pop Zeus, he who gives love to angry children. Kids on biscuits and baggy trousers. Call him Summon, find him a helmet. He will come crashing. Pop Zeus, the electric newspaper boy. Call him Summon, find him a helmet. He will come crashing. Pop Zeus, the electric newspaper boy. Electric newspaper boy. Electric newspaper boy. Electric newspaper
Yeah, I just did the music on the 4-track in my attic there, going from Bob's demo, and just kind of arranged the stuff myself. And see, I didn't have to mix his vocals into that 4-track mix.
Okay.
It is all on 4-track, but the vocals aren't. I sent the mixed 4-track songs down to Bob, and he sang over those beds of music onto an ADAT with his engineer,
Okay.
using all his engineer's effects, like in a studio at Chromax Studios.
Mhm.
So that's how that ended up sounding the way it does.
It sort of strikes me that a lot of the songs on that record became live staples for Guided by Voices. Like you mentioned Pop Zeus, but also Tight Globes, and there's a lot of songs that sort of became classics. Do Something Real.
Oh, yeah. We still do something real right now.
Oh, nice. Did you get the impression that any song from any of Bob's projects is sort of fair game for a set list?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pretty much any time he'll say, I want to do this song from this record.
Like, how much lead time do you get to see if you remember it?
He gives us a fair amount of time, for sure. So we can listen and learn and make notes. And at least 2-3 weeks. I mean,
Okay.
It depends on the situation and when he brings it up or how it's couched. We could be in the middle of a tour and he'll say, you know what, I want to put this song in.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we, if you guys want to learn it, maybe we'll sound check it in a few shows.
Okay.
He never demands that, do this right away.
Yeah.
If it's a song that he knows we already know, then we will put it in right away. Like he could say to me tomorrow, hey, Doug, I want to do Liar's Tale at Friday's show. I said, oh, yeah, I remember that. It's just me and you. He goes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, something like that, he knows, we know.
Right.
But he definitely gives us time to learn things.
This is a song with Speak Kindly of Your Volunteer Fire Department. Me and Dougie or tight clothes. Line machine in a yellow space car. Zip your legs in smooth rubber. You pass me, otherwise me. Number one is on the run. I saw you out of my cave. You didn't see me, you never see me. Ugliest affairs in prints. Jumbled society's children. Where'd you pop in? Time machine in a yellow space car. Zip your legs in smooth rubber. You pass me and arouse me. Number one is on the run. All the glamours that you shoot through. Tight clothes. International, she goes out. That's from the sweat factory. I'm in love tonight. Perhaps we'll be best friends for a week. Oh baby. Blind machine in yellow space car. Zip your legs in the smooth rubber. You pass me and harass me. Number one is on the run. Number one is on the run. Yeah, yeah.
Towards the beginning of the 2000s, the Guided by Voices lineup sort of solidified, and you cranked out a bunch of great albums and toured constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of became a fan of the band during this era. I actually remember being 17 when the two last shows were announced in Chicago. One of them was an 18 or older show, and one of them was a 21 or older show, and
I see. Yeah.
And so I downloaded a whole bunch of bootleg concerts and listened to that on the New Year's Eve.
Wow.
But yeah, listening to shows from that era, because the set lists changed so much, you could listen to any show and have 6 new favorite songs.
Well, that's true. Also, in that last year, we were putting in a lot of older things that we'd never done before.
Yeah.
You know, navigating flood regions, a pendulum, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was fun. I mean, we knew it was a farewell tour, so we were just kind of throwing in things on a whim.
This is a song from the album Propeller called Exit Flagger. I don't know where I come from. I don't know where I'm off to. Need a light to save us. He's here to help me find it. Exit Flagger. Exit Flagger. Exit Flagger. Exit Flagger. I'm not gonna race you today. Need a lot to say.
Yeah, it seems like during that period the band was pretty untouchable, just as a live unit.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel for you as a part of the band? Because I had also sort of read, online chatter that kind of made it sound like it was, to some extent, like a Grateful Dead in the 90s thing, where people would just go to the shows to get loaded.
I think that did happen. I mean, as everyone knows, GBV is a pretty culty band. And we're very thankful for all the fans as well. I do know that since the Dead could no longer be an all original band after years at 95 or so,
right?
Some Deadheads came over to GBV for their fix of following a band around or going to shows or having a community of other fans to travel with or communicate with online. So I know that happened. There were a few of those people.
Do you think that just sort of became an untenable situation and that was sort of the reason for the breakup, or was it just sort of like Bob had decided it was...
I think he wanted to try just sort of going solo and releasing records under his own name and doing various other projects. I think maybe he felt it was stale. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But we were, he told us his intentions of like a full year before.
Okay.
Or almost a year. So we were on board and were supportive with his decision.
Did you record Salamander knowing that GBV was going to be winding to a close?
No, I didn't know it was going to be winding to a close. I think I started it before we knew anything.
Were any of these songs that were played by Jem, or was this sort of a separate project?
I don't think any of those songs were played by Jem.
Okay.
No, these were all earmarked for a solo record.
Okay. Where did you record it? Because the album has a kind of analog feel to it where you can like hear the hiss on the drums and...
It was recorded at Waterloo Sound Recording in Kent, Ohio.
Okay.
Which was a studio in a house. It's also where Jem recorded our last thing in 96. When I did my record there, I did it with an engineer called Jack Trowbridge.
Okay.
And he had supplied some of the gear for the studio, and he repaired their board, and he's Mr. Analog Man. He knows.
Okay.
He knew how to repair tape machines, tape channels, capacitors, anything like that. He built his own mic preamps, and compressors. And he brought those in. And so that's why the record sounds like it does, really.
Did it ever come out on vinyl?
No, it never came out on vinyl.
I think it would sound really good on there.
Yeah.
I mean, a track like Present definitely has that, like, almost a Love Forever Changes feel to it.
I want to talk to her again. Why do I miss her when I'm gone? More than when I'm home. She's still here. We feel her with her clear blue eyes and ever-present smile. Frequent is the day I'll turn to her and say, thank you for the years. Your presence is still felt in here. Undying love saw me through. You are shining brighter than the sky. Place her with us. She's still here. We feel her with her clear blue eyes and ever-present smile. Frequent is the day I'll turn to her and say, thank you for the years. Your presence is still felt in here. Undying love saw me through. You are shining brighter than the sky. Clear
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of love when I did that song, but I guess it's in there. I did that on the nylon string guitar with the low E string tuned down to low B. And there's a part in the chorus where it slows down and stops. That part is sort of taken from, Time of the Season by Zombies.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's sort of the same two chords as in that song. But Jack got a really warm sound. I'd really like orchestrated pop.
The Sunshine Pop.
Sunshine pop. I like to find a way to work orchestration into future solo things. I mean, it's hard to do when you can't afford an orchestra.
Right. But I mean, the string arrangements on Salamander, I think, elevate each of those songs.
Oh, that was one violin player.
Oh, okay.
There was one kid that I knew, one guy, and I kind of wrote out the parts. I gave him a cassette of what I intended before, but I layered them. I like to do multiple takes and have them overdub on themselves so it sounds like a section. But yeah, so Salamander came out, and that was on Jack Rabbitt's label, Jack Rabbitt of the Big Takeover magazine. My album was maybe one of the only records on it. He was going to do something with Martin Phillips of the Chills. The label is called Pink Frost, named after a Chills song. And then shortly after that, he decided to fold the label because, as we all know, labels are a lot of work.
Yeah.
He had this big magazine still to do, and so...
So with this album, did you just sort of think of yourself as a solo artist after Guided by Voices stopped touring?
Yeah, pretty much.
Were you getting offers to join any other bands at that time?
No, not really. In 2006, I played with Richard Buckner.
Oh, yeah. He's also played with John Langford, who we have interviewed on a past episode.
Yeah, John and Sally are good friends of Richard's. He asked me to just sort of accompany him on guitar on a tour, and we recorded a record of his called Meadow up here in New York in either late 2005, early 2006. And that came out, and he and I toured on that record, just two guys in his pickup truck touring with guitars. Mm-hmm. And that was a lot of fun. And so most of 2006 was playing with Richard Buckner, and I would have the occasional solo show, solo band in between that time.
And were you just sort of writing songs during this period and like stockpiling them for the next one?
Yeah. At the time, I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina for a couple of years. My friend Stuart Pack lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. He's a guitar player, musician, used to be in some seminal punk bands from the Knoxville area back in the day. Mm-hmm. He really influenced the Superdrag guys. He's sort of their guitar mentor.
Okay.
And we became friends, and I would drive just a couple hours over to Knoxville from Charlotte, and he had a whole studio set up in his basement and lots of instruments and drum kit. So with his generous help, we assembled the record Call from Restricted, pretty much. Okay. And some of it was recorded in Asheville with Scott Miner engineering, Scott from Sparkle Horse. We recorded some vocals and drums in Asheville. But Stuart also did the artwork for the Salamander album.
Okay.
So he's a graphic artist and a photographer. And so Call from Restricted is pretty much a self-release.
So that's the 347 Records?
Yeah.
Imprint?
And that one's, I guess it's pretty hard to find.
It is on Bandcamp, though.
Yeah, I put it up on Bandcamp.
Yeah, even though it's a studio record, it does seem to have more of a lo-fi aesthetic to it. Was that sort of intentional, or just sort of the equipment you were working with? It's
more an aesthetic move. I've never liked huge-sounding things. I don't like too much high-end. I like a lot of low-end, but I don't like a lot of high-end. And in the 90s, something happened on the radio. You'd hear a current hit song, and it had so much... The sibilance of the cymbals would be way up in, I don't know what the K is, 2K land or something. It's really, or the hertz, just really high.
It does hurt.
Right. And I think a lot of that is just my taste. I think it's just, I grew up on AM radio, and I like the sound of the production of things from the 60s through the early 80s. Just the sound.
Yeah.
A hi-hat sounds like a hi-hat. It doesn't have all this high-end and sibilance to it. So I think that's kind of what I round off the high end when I produce records or when I produce my own, or when I mix my own stuff. And I'm thinking I'm sort of getting away from that mindset. I'd like to have something now with the most bandwidth possible, as big sounding as possible.
While still sounding natural.
Yeah. And when I say big used to mean in the 80s, big meant you have tons of reverb on your stuff.
Sure.
That's not what I mean now.
Here's the lead-off track from 2009's Call from Restricted, called Time Is Not.
I've got pride that gets mistaken for arrogance. I am poor with taste that lead toward extravagance. Time is now and I must end all the decadence. And I'll pay, yes I'll pay. Will I care for you with wavering confidence? And I want nothing more than peaceful coexistence. But there's times when we're both mired in petulance. And I
Instead of prevention, always quick fixing, with all kinds of things and dangerous drop kicking. Some behavior may have his and not deep sixing. In a way, we're okay, we're okay, we're okay, we're okay, we'll be okay.
Recently, you've become a full-time member of Nada Surf. How did you first begin playing with them, and when were you asked to join full-time?
Well, in 2009, I had a residency at a club here called Pianos in New York. I think it was in February, every Monday night. So one of the shows, Matthew was there, Matthew Cause, and I was walking around in the club, and he said, "Hey, Doug, I'm Matthew from Nada Surf. I really enjoyed your show, and I like your playing." I was like, "Wow, thank you." And he said, "Yeah, maybe we should get together and play sometime or jam or something." I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And then I saw him shortly after that at a Bob Mould show at Irving Plaza. And since I was friends with John Worcester and Jason, who play with Bob, I was saying hi afterwards, and Matthew was up there as well, saying hi. And so we started talking then, and he said, "We're doing a record right now of covers, and we're actually doing a song by Bill Fox of the Mice." And he knew that I was from Cleveland, and I knew Bill, and I'd played on Mice records. And in fact, Bill Fox did a solo record in 1991 that never came out. I played guitar on that record, and this stuff it's never been released. Even still, it's a more folk type record. Bill was known for power pop.
Yeah.
And then moved into sort of like a Dust Bowl sound. Very folk influence. So anyway, he said, "Yeah, why don't you come and maybe see if you can add something to that and maybe something else." I said, "Sure." So they gave me a demo for Electrocution, and
yeah, the arrangement on that song is really nice and jangly.
Yeah, it really shows off the power pop side of Nada Surf, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking even before I added my jangly guitar. And so I was impressed, and I thought it was great. And I went and tracked the stuff with Matthew and Tom Bourgeois, who engineered on that song. And I think I played on some other things. And it just turned into, "Hey, we're going to promo some of the songs from this record. And Philly, you want to come and chime along?" I said, "Sure." I just kind of went from there, and we found it was a good working relationship. They liked me playing live with them. And so pretty much since 2010, I've been playing with them.
Okay.
I'm on 2 full albums, studio albums, and a couple live things.
Coming up, we'll hear the title track of the latest Nada Surf album, last year's You Know Who You Are. even though for a long time Guided by Voices was inactive, you had still worked with Bob on occasion. You'd done, I think, some guitar for a Boston Spaceships record and another album as Lifeguards.
That's correct. I did guitar on Come On Baby Grace on a Boston Spaceships record, and Bob and I started a project called Lifeguards. We actually did the first one back in 2001,
Okay.
I think. The album Mr. King Earth came out. And that was all me in my house in Cleveland doing the music, send it down to Bob, and he'd sing over it. Lifeguards is a little more proggy affair. It's still poppy, I guess, but it's got a little more of the prog and punk in it.
Mm-hmm. And is that sort of what would define it as a Lifeguards album rather than another Robert Pollard and Doug Gillard record?
Yeah. We've really never done something like Speak Kindly since it came out. Because for some reason, his batch of songs were just really pop-oriented on Speak Kindly. And that's my favorite kind of things to do, is pop and concise songs, rather than sprawling prog opuses or lots of guitar solos or something like that. I'd rather have the solo be part of a song, if there is a solo. Some songs don't call for solos, you know?
Sure.
That's certainly not what I live for. It's something I can do, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. My favorite thing is just to have cool chords, have a good chord progression, have an interesting sounding chord, and ultimately a catchy song or a longing song or something. Mm-hmm. That's what turns me on the most. But so we did the first one in 2001, and then it wasn't part of the reformed, reunited Guided by Voices back in 2011, but I was on the phone with Bob, and we said, hey, let's just do another Lifeguard. And so I came up with another batch of music beds.
Okay.
One thing was left over from the former Lifeguards sessions that he had rejected then, but liked this time around, called Keep It in Orbit on Waving at the Astronauts. But most of them were newly recorded, so I did it with Travis Harrison at his Serious Business recording studio. Mm-hmm. So Bob came to New York and sang on that, and that became Waving at the Astronauts by Lifeguards.
And here's that track from 2011's Waving at the Astronauts, Keep It in Orbit.
Sun has risen in the east. Instant carpet for my peace. Common moves wallow me to sleep. Keep the borders when I have sharp shooters from the unknown. Keep it in orbit, drive for a while. Take it very much. Forever to nowhere in your smile. Now we're in touch. So dial code sounds ahead. Post minus sound dual trip. Hurry, burning boys, give me left. Cigarettes and whiskey keep them sick, sick, sick. Biker woman on an old man's back. The catch is checking blood on the track. Keep it in orbit, keep it on the track. Keep it in orbit, drive for a while. Thank you very much. Forever to nowhere in your smile. Now we're in touch. Sun has risen in the east. Instant coming for my peace. Common moves away to sleep. Keep the borders when I hide. Keep it in orbit. 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 Keep it in
What's the process of starting a new project like a second Lifeguards album or more recently ESP Ohio? Is it just a telephone conversation or like a batch of songs that would suggest a new collaboration?
Yeah, sometimes the telephone conversation gets it started. Sometimes Bob has a batch of songs and he'll call up and say, listen, I have this thing in mind to do, and I want you to do this. I want you to record this, blah, blah, blah. ESP Ohio was that way. He sent Travis, myself, and Mark Shue a batch of songs. We did them up in Travis's studio. Then he sang the vocals in Dayton. He kind of trusted us just to whatever direction we wanted to take each demo in, we did. And so we just had fun creating a lot of sounds in the studio, tons of pedals, crazy guitar sounds. I did some things at home on GarageBand and sent them to Travis. We threw those in. It's a hodgepodge of all sorts of things.
But it does sound really cohesive as well.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Like there are some songs that are a little bit more lo-fi, but they all sort of have that same sort of anthemic quality to them.
Yeah, we'll probably do another one down the line here somewhere.
Oh, very nice.
In a year or two.
From last year's debut ESP Ohio album, Starting Point of the Royal Cyclopean, we'll hear a song that's already become a GBV Live favorite, called Royal Cyclopean.
At the starting point of the Royal Cyclopean is the Maltese custard, is the Chinese mustard, Admiral Blanche, darling of face, beautiful cigarette, throw down an anchor, run to the hill and take it along, it'll see you now, hell make you new. I promise you at the bottom, calculus ABCs, the prophecy aphrodisiac. Look at all the hours you have lost. Now you know the cost. Back to the starting point of the Royal Cyclopean. Take it along, it'll see you now. Tell what you knew. Look at all the hours you have lost. Now you know the cost. Now you know the cost.
And sometime in 2012 or so, I started working on the album Parade On. And half of that I did in New York with Travis at Serious Business Recording, and half I did in Texas with Louis Lino
Okay.
at his studio in Austin, Resonate.
When you're writing songs, is it just sort of a constant process, like you're always working on something? Or when you have an album in mind, do you sort of write to that project?
It's more when I have an album in mind, I'll write for the project. I go through long periods of time where I'm not writing anything, or coming up with ideas, or making myself come up with ideas. I'll jot them down every now and then, or record them, voice memos. I have lots of fragments of songs. I'll marry those together to make a song. Sometimes they come fully formed, whole songs come fully formed. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I'll have a chorus I'll wake up with or something. That's rare, but it's great when it happens.
And once you have a piece that you're really happy with, like how long does it usually take you to get it into a shape that you feel you're ready to record?
Not very long. It depends on how much I keep on it. Nose to the grindstone kind of thing. Remind myself to keep working on this song. Usually a day, sometimes a couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on what the song is. And on Parade On, it's the first album where I didn't play drums myself. There might be a couple where I'm on drums, but it's mostly George Duran in Texas. He's been with lots of bands. He played drums on half the songs, and Travis played drums on the other songs.
Okay.
Also, my friend Sally Crew helped out with some backups when I was in Texas.
Up next, we'll hear the lead-off track from 2014's Parade On, called Ready for Death.
I used to think the time was on my side, but now I feel so bad. I gotta cry and hide, and I'm ready for death. Yes, I'm ready for death. I've seen enough of this world to know there probably is no God, no place for souls to go. But I'm ready for death. Yes, I'm ready for death. Ooh, I wanna go gentle and never rage against the dying of light. Ooh, how I long to find those I've done wrong and try to make things right. When I see the lantern flame go out, well then we'll soon find out what nothing's all about. And I'm ready for death. Yes, I'm ready for death. I've seen enough of this world to know there probably is no God, no place for souls to go. And I'm ready for death. Yes, I'm ready for death. Ooh, I wanna go gentle and never rage against the dying light. Ooh, how I long to find those I've done wrong and try to make things right. Yeah. I used to think the time was on my side, but now I feel so bad. I gotta crawl and hide, but I'm ready for death. Yes, I'm ready for death. Yes, I'm ready for death.
I'd always had that song kind of kicking around in my head for a few years, and I think it started with the title, or the chorus or something. I think that's the first thing I came up with on that song, but I kind of wanted it to sound like My Sweet Lord, but it's saying Ready for Death. I don't know, it's about not feeling great when you wake up, and
Right.
And it also, somehow it got into some existential conversations in the song, which I didn't really intend for it, but at the time I was feeling like, agnostic or atheistic or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could take it as, it's not my sweet Lord, but it's, oh, my sweet Lord, do you really exist?
Right.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but it definitely has the Harrison influence in there.
Mm.
That's a fun little ditty.
You do seem sort of like a vocal chameleon. There are a couple songs on Salamander where I think you sound like Pat Denizio from the Smithereens.
Oh, wow.
And then there are other songs on Parade On where I think you sound a little more like Ted Leo. Obviously, you've got your own vocal style, but there's also a couple of different voices that you seem to have.
Well, sometimes I do consciously do that, try to just have a different sound. Sing with a different mouth shape. I remember doing that for Breaking In 2.
That song seems like it has a gruffer delivery.
Yeah, that song's more it's sort of a mod mid-60s, Small Faces, early Who, Creation sort of vibe.
Yeah.
I was going for, I guess. I wasn't trying for Marriott, but I was trying for, I don't even know what, I can't remember, but just wanted a little tougher sound.
Released exclusively as a vinyl single, here's Doug Gillard with Breaking Into.
How can I talk? It's just my pride. Where can I run to, baby? No place to hide. She may never know how much I want her. My simple dreams are laid right in front of her.
I guess most recently you worked on a track for the late Scott Miller's last album, or I guess it's a game theory album, Supercalifragile.
Yes, that's right.
And that process was sort of taking someone else's voice memos and working them into a full-fledged song?
Well, Ken Stringfellow is working in tandem with Scott Miller's widow, Christine. Scott left behind tons of song fragments, and she gave a lot of them to Ken. A lot of them are on, iPhone voice memos that he had done. I'm sure other people maybe had parts of tapes. I got one that was really a lot of voice memos over the span of maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Scott's a slow writer. That's something I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't write a song that quickly. He kind of lets it ruminate and really thinks about something for a while. And this one song was called Say Goodbye. They had fragments of. And Ken took this on and organized all these songs, compiled all the voice memos that had to do with this one song, and probably compiled voice memos that had to do with another song that he gave to someone else to help finish and make into a whole song. So that was our task. Other people are part of this album, Amy Mann, Ted Leo, Ken himself. So there were some things to go on. It was mostly lyrics and melodies that he would sing, a couple lines at a time maybe. Mm-hmm. I had to put them in an order, which was completely subjective.
Right.
This wasn't, I always was wondering, is this how he would have done it? I don't know. But you just have to forge ahead and just do the best you can and make a song like how you would make it.
Right. Had you ever worked with him before?
No, I'd met Scott before, and he had mentioned one of my songs in one of his in his Music What Happened book.
Right.
And he was a Guided by Voices fan as well.
Mm-hmm.
My wife had taken some photos before that had ended up in things of Scott and Game Theory and Loud Family. She's a big fan. She knew Scott as well. But Say Goodbye, I just there were some fragments that had guitar accompaniment.
Okay.
Not a lot, but some. So I knew what key it was going to be in, and I just had to come up with a bridge that utilized this lyric and that thing. So it was a lot of work. It's probably more wordy than Scott would have even had. Because I got every idea in there. There were probably some ideas he wasn't going to use. Mm-hmm. But I used everything just to cover all the bases, But it was fun. In the end, it was a lot of fun. And so I recorded that with Travis. And Mitch Easter was going to mix a lot of these songs. And I think he just got really busy and ended up not being able to do it. So we mixed ourselves, Travis and I. Okay. And also Peter Buck plays mandolin on this song.
Was he in the studio, or did he just sort of mail it in?
He mailed it in. That's something that Ken organized. Scott had that in his notes for this song.
Okay.
Probably somewhere he wrote, maybe Peter Buck plays mandolin on this.
Okay.
I don't know what his intent, what Scott slated the song for a future solo album. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows. I don't know where these notes are, but.
Or it's just like, this song has an out-of-time vibe to it.
Oh, you think so? Yeah, maybe so. I hadn't met Peter before. Mm-hmm. I'd seen R.E.M. a bunch, so.
And of course, Ken had been touring with them for a while.
Yes. And so I'm proud of how the song came out. I thought it came out better than I thought it would, so.
Awesome. And with special thanks to Doug and Ken Stringfellow, Stereo Hysteria is deeply humbled to be able to offer an exclusive preview of this track. From the forthcoming Game Theory album, Supercalifragile, this is Say Goodbye.
You're in the world that you wanted, and you'll never see on second thought anymore. Who's turning up on the sidewalk? Who's gonna block the sun and ask anymore? Have a closer look at what you
What was the phone call like that got you back into Guided by Voices? Because I understand it, you sort of just filled in for a show with not a lot of notice.
Well, right. A member was fired the night before.
Okay.
So said, hey, would you play this festival in Cincinnati? If not, we don't get the money from the show, and nobody gets paid, and we'll pay you. We'll fly you down.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, yeah, I'm not doing anything that Friday. Sure, I'll do it. I mean, well, I had hours of notice. It wasn't that Friday. It was tomorrow.
Right.
So I made it, and I played the set with them.
Mm-hmm.
There were really only 3 or 4 brand new things that I really had to learn. The rest of them were older songs that I had played before. Of course, I needed to still go over them a little bit. But so then shortly after that, they still needed someone to play. So they put the offer to me, and I said, well, I pretty much have to do it.
Right.
You know?
Although at this point, you're now also a full-time member of Not a Surf.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so Not a Surf's been very gracious in letting me do that. And if there are times when I can't be with them, if shows conflict, Not a Surf will play as a 3-piece, which they used to do. So the crowd gets vintage Not a Surf on those nights. So Matthew and the guys have been very gracious about the whole situation. And I've also been having tons of fun with Guided by Voices. So we have a double record coming out in April. It's called August by Cake. And also there's a single record that's in the can, slated to come out in August. That's already done.
Oh, wow.
Another album. So
Bob moves fast.
yeah, very fast. So things always happening.
I understand that the new album is his 100th album.
Yes, it is.
Was that something that everyone knew beforehand? Or was it just like the album was completed?
He knew beforehand that it was coming up on 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a big talking point for the record, if there's going to be a promotional campaign on it. Bob's 100th release. He's counting solo records and everything, too. So.
Of course, yeah.
So that's pretty great. This one's a double album. Each member also wrote 2 songs and sang them on the record. Kevin March sings 2 songs that he wrote. Mark Shue wrote 2 songs and sings them. Bobby Bear sings a couple songs, and I wrote 2 songs.
Awesome.
And as it turned out, it wasn't really planned this way, but each one of us played drums on our own songs. I think on my 2 tracks, it's a one-man band operation again for those.
And are you going to be touring this year and playing some of the new songs out?
Yeah, we're going to be playing bookends at the Coachella, meaning we're playing the one weekend, then we're going to take off on a West Coast tour, come back and play Coachella again, side stage somewhere. After that, supporting the album various weekends.
All right.
For some reason, they're not on weekdays. But yeah, look for Guided by Voices in the United States.
And that's just about all the time we have for this week. I'd like to thank Doug Gillard for being so generous with his time, and for allowing us to play so many great tracks from the archives. Be sure to tune in again next week, when our topic will be Windows. But before we go, we'll hear Doug's other track from August by Cake, which is for now the most recent Guided by Voices album, called Deflect Project. This is Charlie, signing off.